We continue our conversation now with our political roundtable, and Terri, we'll take it up with you. Coronavirus, the numbers now are spiking around the country. These are now the red states, the ones like Florida that said, look, we did everything we were supposed to do. We didn't have the virus. You came down here, you criticized us. It was a Northeast thing. We're now safe to open, and the numbers are going through the roof. Is there going to be a political consequence to be paid?
Sadly, I believe the coronavirus has become a political debate, and it should never have become a. I look back and I think, how did this start? Was it just because Trump doesn't believe in the science? I really wish all along everyone could have been on the same page, because we could have saved so many lives just listening to what Fauci has been saying and listening to the CDC and the World Health Organization would have helped, because we could have closed down these states, we could have worn masks, we could have social distanced and not made it a political battle. You know, Trump has looked at this and he has made it so that if you wear masks or if you continue to keep your state closed, that somehow you are betraying the Republican Party. And it just never should have gotten to that point. So it saddens me that the virus is a political discussion, because it should stay in science-based discussions.
Brian.
Yeah, I think the origins of this were panicking from the White House and Trump seeing that there was an outbreak that they hadn't been in front of, and trying to minimize the short-term political damage, which is consistent with how Trump has operated his administration. And that began in the polls, the partisan differences in how people saw COVID, whether it was a risk to them or not. And that just got out of control. I think public health researchers will be studying this for many, many years and seeing that the communications were flawed from the beginning, and this partisan divide is what cost a lot of people their lives. But it started, I believe, in the White House and in Trump's statements early on, in trying to minimize and trying to get some short-term political advantage. And that will, at the end of the day, I think, be determined as one of the biggest factors in deaths in the United States.
Jesse, let me postulate another theory. Is that correct language, by the way? And you can correct me if it's not. But there are some who believe that they started to reopen southern states when it appeared that the people who were dying in the largest numbers from COVID were people of color. Your thoughts?
Okay, so let me put on.
First of all, is postulate the correct word?
I'll give you that one for this round. I'll give you that one. All right, so let me put on my future prediction hat, and let me tell you what I saw and what we're going to see. After Memorial Day, we saw a big spike in cases because people were tired of talking about coronavirus, and we started talking about how it was affecting the communities of color. So non-communities of color ran out and jumped in their pools and jumped into the lakes and congregated in huge crowds. Now we're seeing it again after the 4th of July. People went out again. They decided to sit around each other and not socially distance. What do we have coming up? We have governors forcing the public schools and the universities to reopen, where once again, you're gonna have a bunch of people congregating and spreading coronavirus. You have Labor Day coming up at the beginning of the fall, where people will do the same thing. Unfortunately, it seems like we haven't learned the lesson. The lesson is that we cannot, until there is a vaccine, we can't be in large crowds. It is still affecting communities of color. I just spent 2 weeks in the South, and in Mississippi and Tennessee and in lower part in Southern Virginia, what I saw was there were communities of color who mostly were wearing masks, but there were a large number of white people in the South who were not wearing masks because they don't think it affects them, still to this day. So we're going to see huge spikes again in August when they reopen the schools, because they want to prove that President Trump is right and Democrats and teachers unions are wrong about being worried about the spread of COVID in students. And we'll see another spike after Labor Day. These spikes will continue until all of America realizes that it affects all of us, and the only way to shut it down is to wear masks, wear gloves, and social distance. Everybody still doesn't believe that.
When we come back, 4 words: Tammy Duckworth, Terri Austin, and why she is so much smarter than the other two. Stay with us. We'll be right back.